Hello and welcome. Shallow here with another V-Rising video, and today I'll be going over the ultimate crafting castle. I've had a few people request this video for a while now, so I've decided to finally put one together. In this video, I'll be giving you guys a tour of a castle I built whose sole purpose is to maximize output while also having a very small footprint. This castle will be more focused on late game crafting so that all the different crafting and refinement stations will be shown throughout the castle. I'll also be leaving a link here for the time-lapse of this build in case you guys are interested in checking that out. Before we get started, let's go over the pros and cons of this build. Pros: small 7x7 tile blueprint, contains all crafting and refinement stations, 15 servant capacity, 10 prisoner capacity, 2 contained vermin nests, 64 redistribution engine connection capacity, contained undead spawn points, all-inclusive garden, 1 Stygian summoning circle. Cons: claustrophobic, very little space for decoration, 1 entrance or exit, limited inventory space. Now that I've gotten all that out of the way, let's start the tour. One of the reasons why I decided to go with a tower build is because I wanted to make sure that I was able to build up and without having to eat up too much of a blueprint, especially I think a 7x7 would fit on pretty much any plot in the game. I'm like fairly certain. So yeah, I think this should fit on any plot if you want to replicate something like this. And of course, I'm going to be leaving a link to this build in the description below through my Ko-Fi, and it'll be like a free download. So if you want to use this castle yourself, feel free. But yeah, let's kind of go over some of the stuff here. So we definitely have a bunch of servant coffins. Remember, I said 15, so we have a bunch in here, and we also have some back here. You can't quite see it from here, but yeah, there's a bunch up all the way back there. And of course, we have our teleporting circles. I'll be going over the teleport circles last, just to show you guys like kind of how this works with a little bit more context. So let's go over here. So I'm going to interact with this. We have a servant coffin, has a matching crypt flooring. So of course we have the crypt flooring. Now you're probably wondering, how is it that this is getting the bonus if I don't have walls everywhere, right? Well, with the introduction of patch 1.1, we now have the flexibility to be able to use stairs to count as walls. And so because the stairs count as a way to close the room, it now counts as like a sealed room, even if you don't have a wall here and a wall here, because it used to be that you'd have to have a door frame here and then a wall here in order to have a closed room entirely. But now with this change, the staircases can basically be used a little bit differently, and it adds a little bit more flexibility. So I'll be pointing that out as we go through, which is a really nice quality of life change for sure. We also have our simple workbench here. We have the anvil, we have the ancestral forge. And of course, these two things definitely need to be next to each other. We also have our smithy, which needs to be closer to the ancestral forge for early ancestral forge crafting. And of course, we have our fusion forge for when we're ready for late game stuff. So if we want to, make some changes. By the way, guys, I made an entire guide on the fusion forge, so go check that out if you haven't already and you're curious about this thing. We also have our fabricator, and of course, our fabricator just kind of works kind of like a not a bridge, but like it's kind of like an in-between kind of thing, like just walking between the fabricator. I just feel like that's just a better use of walking space. I guess I could have put it flush against here, but I don't know, I kind of like the way it looks, so I left this alone. And then of course we have the advanced furnaces and all that good stuff. And if you notice, I also have carpet in this room, or in pretty much every room except for this room, because I forgot to put it here, but that's, I'm not going back to do that right now, but definitely add some carpet here or on every floor. The reason why is because if you notice that my attributes, my movement speed right now is 4.6. If I step off the carpet, actually I'll show you. If I step off the carpet, it's 4.0. If I step on the carpet, it's 4.6. So, if you want to have a little bit more speed throughout your castle, a bit more efficiency, is definitely something you want to do. And of course, we have our Stygian summoning circle. We're dealing with the same thing with the enclosed room setup. The only reason why I have a door here is so that servants can't just like bust in here and start fighting without me wanting them here, essentially. And of course, we have our different coffins. Now, the coffins are not getting a bonus right now, but It's as simple as changing out the flooring, and assuming I have all the mats in storage, it would be totally fine to replace it. So not really a big deal. We also have the paper press here. Now, something I wanted to mention is that I did not include a study athenaeum or a research desk for this build. Part of the reason is that I feel like once you've reached that late game and you have everything unlocked, there's no reason for you to have it in your castle unless you have a clan member that needs to get the recipes and things like that. And, you know, worst case scenario, you could just place a new one. So maybe it would be a good idea to just place these stations right outside. It would eat up an extra tile, but it's better than not having it at all if you absolutely need it. That being said, I have 3 paper presses here. Part of the reason why is because I want to have an easy, like, kind of a feedback loop where here, you know, you have stuff coming from the sawmills, which, you know, from this workshop here, we have 1, 2, 3 regular sawmills, and then a 4th sawmill, which is a advanced sawmill. So this one is going to be going for all the different types of wood, and these 2 are just going to be, sorry, these 3 are just going to be processing regular kinds of wood. So the idea is that I would use the redistribution engine to send saw paper here to the paper press. And then once the paper press is like, okay, good, we have scrolls, then the scrolls would go here for processing. And then, okay, we need schematics, then this thing processes schematics, and then this would also have a connection up to a storage. So that's kind of the idea. Is mostly I like to keep 3 of these just to kind of have a nice, easy flow of materials. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. And if you notice, there's no storage containers that we've come across yet. There's a reason for that. They're all upstairs, and you're probably wondering, oh no, they're all upstairs, what if I need something? Well, the cool thing is that because you can craft from inventory, you can literally just interact with any of the workstations, and the workstations will, you know, allow you to pull from the treasury. Now, if you need to process anything though, or you need a specific kind of processing, yeah, you will have to go upstairs, but there is a little bit of room throughout these rooms to be able to keep like an extra storage container if you really wanted to. So like if I move this over, I could put like a storage container here if I really needed something specific. So, you know, maybe consider putting down like regular storage containers just to hold pretty much anything you want. But just keep in mind that whatever you put in these storage containers that are down here, you will not be able to just pull from storage for crafting. So just keep that in mind. If you do decide to do that. Of course, we have our advanced grinder, we have our sawmill, and all that good stuff. And if we head upstairs, and of course, you know, we have the castle heart right there. If we head upstairs, we see our first, our purple teleporter. This will lead us right into the jeweler's room. We have, of course, our room bonus from all the stuff. We have our jewel crafting table, artisan table, gem cutting table, stuff like that. And of course we have, you know, different gem cutting tables. So this one would take in the crude gems. This one would take in the regular gems. And then this one, the Stygian shards, and then turn them into greater Stygian shards. So this is what this one would be for. And then of course, if you need like a 4th one for any other purpose, so like let's say we're making something like you know, obsidian, or we're making a siege golem or something like that, then that would be done here at this particular one. Of course, we also have our tailoring room here, and of course in the tailoring room we have all the advanced looms, and then we have an advanced tannery here. We have the leather working station ready to go. We also have an extra loom here, so if you have something that needs to be made that doesn't necessarily require an advanced loom, you can use this instead to prevent yourself from like losing that extra like space essentially in the room. And of course we have our tailoring bench, and then we have the advanced tannery. So we have a nice, you know, setup here. So we have 2 different tanneries. I like to keep 2 because you know, sometimes you just kind of run out of space with how many hides you get. So I like to be able to process the regular hides and the thick leather and all that good stuff in one spot. If I'm going for the more advanced leathers, like pristine leather or bad leather, then I would use it into this one. That way I have space for, or enough capacity for both types. And then of course here in this room, we have our prisoner cells. We have, I believe, 10 in here. And of course you keep your prisoners nice and you know, safe, whatever you want to do there. All right, so if we head over here to the alchemy lab, we have the blood homogenizer. Of course, you know, we have our room bonus in a confined room. We also have 2 vermin nests, an advanced blood press here, and 2 others here. The reason why I have 3 is because one of them would be focused on mostly making blood essence. The other one might be focused on making greater or primal blood essence, or I could redistribute so that there's like a loop between these 2 until it becomes primal. Well, actually, the primal one would go right into a chest, if that makes sense. So I would have to do some adjustments and kind of work around with the inventory, but you know, that's a discussion for another day. But yeah, we have like our 3 different blood presses. You could also use one for like fish if you wanted to, just to kind of get the oil out of it. And then of course we have our alchemy table here. We can see from the staircase, we can see what's going on. So it's kind of interesting. If for some reason you just want to get out of here without having to, you know, do much, unfortunately, you can't really push this very far back. I mean, you can try and squeeze back there, but it's just not going to work. This is a very cramped, tight room. So you want to be very careful about having all the doors closed, because especially since you have your vermin nest, if you start spawning stuff in here, it can get really dangerous for your servants if you have too many like mutant rats, for example, or something, and not enough servants. So make sure to just keep locks on these so that they're not, you know, spewing out into the realm of danger, if that makes sense. But yeah, we're gonna go actually around. And of course we have our other teleporter here. This is the red teleporter, and of course, you know, this leads us right into, well, the blood area. And of course we can head over this way, and if we go upstairs, we have a wonderful rooftop garden. Now this rooftop garden, I'm kind of glad it's daytime right now when I'm showing you this. But I do have 2 mist braziers on each side here. Now you might need to move the mist braziers like closer up, or like maybe over here or something if you really want to, if you're gonna sit like on this throne. But for the most part, it's dark enough that you're not really gonna have to worry too much about the sun with, you know, the large cloud around you. And most of this is shaded anyway with the trees. So we have our redistribution engines right on the top here. And of course we have our castle throne. We have our teleporter here to lead us straight back downstairs to the entrance if we really want to just quickly, you know, send the servants out and then go back downstairs. It's just, you know, easy navigation. The redistribution engines, if you guys don't know what that is yet, I made an entire guide on the redistribution engine, so I really recommend you guys go check that out if you haven't already. Kind of important, especially for like late game stuff. And then of course we have our different garden plants here. So we have a nice little patch here. We have another nice little patch here, but with stables. So a lot of people don't realize this, but you can actually put the dirt underneath the stables and have the plants grow like through the stables, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, you can park your horses up here. So if you ever take your horse inside, you use the teleporter, because now you can teleport while mounted. You can go up there and you know, that'll be really cool. And also, if you don't know what the stables are, you don't know how these work, I also made a guide on the horse rework for patch 1.1. So if you haven't seen that already, I'm going to link it here as well. And then of course we have, you know, these different trees here. So I put some gloom saplings, some cursed saplings, so that we get cursed wood and gloom wood up here. Currently, I do not believe there are other types of wood that you can get or that you can grow. Like, I don't think you can grow hollowed wood, for example. You can't grow corrupted wood either, unfortunately, which is kind of a shame because I kind of like the purple trees, but you know, whatever. You know, maybe someday we'll get purple trees. And then we'll have, so in here, if you notice, the tile has changed. And I have no doors on here. It's mostly because this is just a storage. Now, if I was on a server that was like a PvP server and I built like a fort around this thing and then had, you know, a reason to protect this, obviously you would have a door here. But like, I mean, this is just like PvE for me, so I'm not really worried about that. I do have a small herb storage container here, another large one here, and then we have some weapon storage, herb storage, armory, and we have a bunch of large tailoring storages. So this is where all the storage basically is up here. So this is just one of them. We have another one here, another closet, I guess you could say, storage closet. And again, I'm using the treasury flooring because remember, the treasury flooring allows me to access these materials at the crafting station. So if I want to have my hands clean and just be able to, you know, autonomously just work on stuff without having to worry about, you know, having to sort the materials myself, then that will definitely have, you know, its own effect. And of course, you guys have probably already noticed we have some undead here. The cool thing about this is that even if I aggro them, if I run outside, they won't like really come after me. I think even the banshees can't reappear outside of the circle. Yeah, so they can't. So even though they kind of disappear and kind of, you know, reappear in other places and all that kind of stuff, they can't really go outside of here. So as long as you're not in here, you're totally fine, and this little hedge here is enough to protect you. So if you change your mind or you're like, oh no, abandoned mission, you can definitely just jump over the edge if you're out of wolf jumps for some reason. I don't know, if you get stuck with the banshees, you get stuck with the fear hell and you're stuck and you can't move, well, you know, there's a solution to that. Just jump off the edge, which is, I mean, kind of crazy, but you know, it's fun, so why not, right? Of course, we have our ghost shrooms here, and of course we have our other shrooms here, our Hell's Clarion, I mean. And then this is another storage closet. This one is more for large material storages and also, you know, our knowledge store. So remember what I said before about making schematics. The schematics would go into a place like this. And then, of course, we have coin storage, jewel storage, and, you know, gem storage and stuff like that. So, yeah, basically my whole goal with this garden, and I didn't even mention this, but there's also, you know, of course, our roses. The reason why I have so many blood roses is because, well, I feel like health potions are the thing that goes fastest when crafting. So the fact that everything is kind of in one place and easy to get, it just makes things so much easier. Now, let's try out the teleports, like as I mentioned earlier, so we can take a look. So we have the purple teleporter that leads us right up here, gem and tailoring. If we go to the red one, prison, and if we need to, we can head over here to the other side of tailoring, but mostly prison and alchemy. If we go to the yellow one, it brings us straight up to the castle throne and the garden. And then this blue one is on the other side of the garden. The reason why I have the blue one on the other side of the garden is in case you want to reach the inventory back here sooner than later. And of course we have alchemy storage and stuff like that. So it can be a little bit of an inconvenience. If you're not using the redistribution engine, this build does not work. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's just super inconvenient, obviously, to keep it all the storage up here, like in these containers, right? If you're not using the redistribution engine. So if you're not using that, I wouldn't even bother making this build or using this tower as an example. Now, I know some people are kind of overwhelmed by it. It's not something you get too early into the game. It's super late into the game, so I can definitely understand that. But like I said, you know, I did make a guide on that, so go check that out if you really aren't sure about the redistribution engine, and hopefully that'll give you some insight. But yeah, overall, I really like this build. I think it's pretty interesting for the most part, not too difficult to understand as far as like, you know, where everything goes and why you're using stuff, you know, even for like the advanced grinders and stuff like that. You know, it's like, okay, maybe one is just for gems, maybe one's just for flowers, maybe this one is for, you know, something like spectral dust or stone brick and stuff like that. There's plenty of capacity here to be able to put out a decent output. And of course, you know, like I said, you definitely, in order for this build to work, you need to use the redistribution engine. If the redistribution engine did not exist, I would never suggest a build like this. Let's say I need to feed prisoners, right? Like, okay, I got my fish. All right. Boom. Now I'm here at the prisoners. It's not that difficult to navigate. You just have to kind of remember what each, you know, color does. And of course, you can change them up if you'd like. So, what did you guys think of this castle? Did you find this tour helpful? Is there anything you would change about this castle? Let me know in the comments below. I'll also be posting the free link to this castle and my Ko-fi in the description below so that you guys can use it for yourself. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like, share, and subscribe for more V-Rising related content. I also have a ton of V-Rising content already on the channel, so make sure to go check that out. In case you don't know, my name is SholoQ. I stream 3 times a week on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube, so if you happen to see me live, feel free to stop by and say hello. If you'd like to support the channel, you can become a member to get access to new videos early and a monthly members only video. I also put out new merch. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, Sholo out.